Welcome to the Block PC. I am Robin. This is my wonderful co-host Dallas. On this week's episode, we want to talk about the topic of patience. Patience. So yeah, we're gonna jump right into it, and let's see what we got. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna start with the definition of patience. This definition comes from Google, Wikipedia.
Shout out Google. Shout out Wiki.
And the definition of patience is the capability to accept or tolerate delayed trouble or suffering without getting angry or upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I'll just jump right into the questions. My first question for you would be, do you feel like you have a lot of patience?
It depends on the day of the week you ask me. It depends on the time of day. I feel like, right, we work with those kids, right? And I love them. And I feel like I have a lot of patience for them. Mm-hmm. But standing in line at the grocery store, I'll be like, all right, bro. There's more than 5 people in line. I'm going to go home. I don't want to wait for this.
True.
But I feel like when it's like things that don't really mean a lot, in terms of my day-to-day life, small little things, I don't have much patience in terms of just like waiting for, I guess you could say, like the mundane things. Yeah. When it comes to like people and emotions, I feel like I'm fairly patient. I try to give people a chance,
True. I feel like that too. I feel like it kind of just matters. It matters on what it is to determine if I have patience or not. Like you said, I love the kids that we work with. I think they're great and amazing. I have a lot more patience with them than I do at anything else in this world. So, but certain things like waiting for my clothes to get out the dryer. No, I want that dryer to stop the moment I put those clothes in. Or I'm going to be like you this time, highway experiences. I have no patience on the highway. I am ready to
agree.
If you're driving 20 miles per hour and I got to be at work, I'm ready to go.
Your tail.
So it kind of just depends. Certain things I feel like I could do better at having patience with, so I'm not so upset and so angry. But other things I feel like I'm a lot more compassionate and I can actually be an empath for in that light. So yeah. And then I guess so my next question would be, have you ever ran out of patience, or like do you have any stories or experiences that you feel like, man, like, oh, I didn't really have like any patience for that?
I think for me, I had one experience. This is way back a long time ago, but I had a moment with my friend where he thought I was talking to someone a lot more seriously than I was, like in that regard. And I was like, "No, man, like I'm good. Like I know what I'm doing. Like boundaries have been set. Like I've talked to this person A, B, C, D, F, G," and he just was like, "No, like you need to stop. You need to be careful." And I was like, "No, I got it. I got it." And no. I was like, "Brother, you're not listening to me." Okay. You know what I'm saying? And at one point, I just was like, "Bro, stop talking to me." Please.
You ran out of patience.
I ran out of patience so fast, and I was like, I feel like though, I wouldn't want to change. Like if I had to do that again, I probably wouldn't change. Just because like I get it. Like you want to keep having patience, but if someone's really not listening to you, really not really like accepting the words you're trying to tell them. Patience is kind of out the window. Now you got to be stern. Now I got to tell you what it is now for real. Now I got to kick your butt.
That's what's up. For me, I feel like I run out of patience a lot with the goals and the dreams that I have. Because I'm so like, answer. I got to get there. Or I got to do this. Or I got to do that. And so like we said before, not necessarily comparing yourself to others, but I feel like if I'm not there by a certain time, then my mind tries to trick me and be like, well, you need to hurry up. Like, so I feel like I kind of run out of patience with the things that I'm trying to accomplish.
I absolutely agree
with that.
So
working on it, trying not to be angry and upset because, we're only in our 20s. So yeah.
I feel like patience, like, it's like so many, like the boundaries, like regret, like trust. You don't know the limit of it until you're pushed to that point. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I could say I'm the most patient person
I know
in the
I'm
world
not the most patient
until someone
person.
does something crazy and I'm like, well,
Fun fact,
I'm ready to turn up.
I got it tattooed on the back of my ear. Ask me how patient I am. I'm not patient at all. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to say I'm not patient at all, but I do have those moments that I struggle with just being patient as a human being, because I'm like, when I want it, I'm like, I want it now. But you can't always have things on your time or like when you want them. Sometimes it's the waiting game. So I think learning to wait is more difficult for me than anything. Yeah. Like, I don't want to say I don't have patience. It's just like, how long do I gotta wait for this until I actually get what I'm trying to get, or like until I'm able to do what I want to accomplish. So
I feel though, like, Patience does play a really important role though in motivating.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like in terms of like even just like our podcast,
yeah.
right? Like we want to be, you know, the top podcast streamers, whatever in the world, but right now we're not there.
Yeah.
But it did motivate us because to be impatient, to go get mics, to go get, you know, the setup, to go have Libby bring the lights and do all the cameras,
action,
you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like it does play a role in like pushing you to do what you can do in the moments that you have, if you are being impatient.
Yeah.
So that, you know, it's a two-edged sword.
It definitely is. I don't think that taking time to like wait out certain things is necessarily a bad thing. I think that it's all something that we could all work on. And like you said earlier, you don't really know how to navigate through it until you're actually in that situation.
Yeah.
So, this question is from Google. I looked it up. I'm not going to lie. It was like trivia questions for young adults and teenagers or whatever like that. And it's like, do you feel like you're gaining more patience as an adult, or do you feel like you're gaining less patience as an adult?
That's a great question.
Google.
I think in terms of my own life,
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot less patience when I have a certain expectation, right? When it's like adults and when it's like certain things, I'm like, when it's in situations where I'm like, you should know better than this, I feel like my patience is like -5.
Dang, negative.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, what are you doing? Like, I get on the highway and I'm like, what are you doing? This is a zipper. We do this every day. What are you doing? Get out of here. But in terms of like I want to believe at least that in terms of the important things, my patience is going up. Knowing that like, I don't know, anything worth having takes time to get.
That's my favorite quote. It's my favorite quote.
You know?
Yeah. If it's easily obtained, I don't think it's worth it too much. That's my favorite quote. Yeah. Nothing worth having is easily obtained. And it kind of teaches you to like sit in those moments and kind of, I guess, wait for it, I guess. Because if something is given to you easy, do you feel like you really like celebrate it as much, or do you feel like it feels like an accomplishment?
No. The best part for me, at least when I accomplish something, especially if it takes a lot of time, is being able to like take a step back and be like,
reflect on those
look
moments.
At how far back it was. Look at how I was back then, and look at me now. Like, then you get to experience that whole journey.
Yeah. But
that only happens if you're willing to go on that journey.
Sit through the waiting
season. You know, and you don't usually know when that end is gonna come. So it's like, it takes a lot of patience. It's hard, but I think it's always worth it.
I think the waiting season is very important because it teaches you like valuable lessons to be like, to go back and reflect on, like, oh, if I did get this right away, then I don't know. I just don't feel like you would be that happy about it.
You get bored with it real fast.
You get bored with it real fast. You might not stick with it. It might just kind of be, oh, okay, well, I did that. No, what's next? But patience kind of teaches you to like value it a little bit more, I feel like, and like understand like this wasn't easy, but I still did it. I feel like that's a better way of looking at accomplishments and stuff like that.
Even emotionally, like with emotionally hard stuff, like you're going through like a depressive episode or something really bad has happened in life, like being patient also, I feel like because when I'm sad, I want those feelings out of there. Yeah. I want them gone, but like that doesn't help them go away. Yeah. Just because they went away fast. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or you're pretending that they went away fast. Right. I think that when it comes to emotions, it takes a lot of patience with yourself, especially with the situations that put you there as well. But so it's hard, but I think it's worth it.
Definitely think it's worth it. I was really excited about this topic because I feel like so many of us want things right away. So many of us are trying to get to the bag or the job or the dream, doesn't matter, right away. But it's just so important to also just stay in that, not necessarily stay there, but understand what steps it took for you to get there before you actually get there. So
I gotta bring up a sports reference, but I think the Denver Nuggets, right? Because, you know, we're Nuggies fans here in Denver. That's a team I felt like that was built over a long period of time through like drafting, through like building the players up to be their best selves. And then they won a championship. And now this year after, they're still pretty dominant. Whereas like when I see other teams in the NBA, like they just use a bunch of money to put the best players together and then they don't work out. It's like, well, because you just tried to cut and splice opposed to taking the time to build something. Work. You know? Yeah. And trying to apply that to my own life. It's like, okay, if you just go part by part, slow enough, it'll start to all meld together and be a congruent,
Yeah.
situation. But it takes time.
Yeah.
I hate that. I'm so impatient.
I guess we could both agree and say like we're still working on patience for sure. I don't think it's easy. I mean, it may be easier in some aspects than others, but like I said, I feel like we all kind of struggle as a whole with like having patience in certain things and certain moments in life. So
the expectation of where you want to be versus where you are, I think, is what makes it hard for me.
Yeah,
like I can see the other side. I can see myself being this amazing thing.
I can see clearly that.
But getting there sucks. Until it doesn't.
Sure.
Like I feel like, after a while it becomes part of your routine. It becomes what you love to do. The process is just as important as the outcome.
True. Definitely. I want to finish singing my song. I'm just kidding. Okay, the next question was, what is something that you have to deal with every day that needs some patience from you, that requires patience? I know you said kids earlier. Do you feel like you have something else that you feel like it just needs your patience every single day?
I think I'm going to go with what you said. Honestly, myself.
Yeah.
And like looking at like where I am and not trying to compare it to where other people are at.
Yeah.
And knowing that like there's still so much opportunity for me, to be amazing. Just because even if it is something you're starting later, like there's still so much potential for you to be the greatest. Yeah. There's no timeline on anything. So it's like if you knew that everything you wanted was on the other side of a 6 month, 1 year, 2 year wait, it all seems worth it.
I'm gonna have to wait out them 12 months.
Like, but you just don't know when that end comes, so that makes it hard and difficult and scary. But that's where I was trying to think of it. Like, dang, if I can learn something amazing, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. That's because I'd still be learning something amazing, Yeah. But, yeah.
I think I want to reflect back on like the definition of patience. I feel like the hardest part of being patient is not getting angry and upset. In the moments where you don't receive what you want, or in the moments where you don't receive what you're actually looking for. Because where you want to work on patience and stuff like that, how do you control your emotions in that process? How do you control not getting angry? How do you control how do you navigate when things don't go your way, Yeah. And so I feel like that's a good place to like tap in and focus when things aren't going as fast as you want them to go, in order to learn how to be patient,
I think I agree. Absolutely. I think it goes with knowing yourself, knowing your limits, knowing your boundaries. Because like for me, if I get really impatient and it makes me angry or something like that, I personally feel like I want to acknowledge the anger and move according to that. Right. So it's like, you know what? I'm really upset right now. I need to take a step back from this situation. Yeah. Because some things really just get me like, what I'm saying, upset. And I would rather be able to acknowledge like, hey, I'm upset right now. I need some space. I need some time. We can come revisit this situation a little bit later or something like that. So that like, I'm not discrediting the anger, because obviously something's upsetting me. Yeah. And, with patience and stuff. So I think it's important to just be honest with yourself. Listen to what your mind and your body is telling you, and then move according to that.
Kind of staying with, not necessarily sitting with those emotions, but like, understanding how you really feel about what you're not getting or what you feel like you're not getting, and kind of making it make a little bit more sense to you. I think that's what I need to work on with that. Like making it make a little bit more sense to me, so I don't have to get angry about, certain things. That's what's up. This is also a question from Google. We know that social media has a huge effect on our lives nowadays. So I guess that's me answering the question. But do you feel like social media has a effect on how patient people are and how they navigate through life?
I think social media might be one of the contributing factors to why people aren't patient anymore, because all we see is the end result. Yeah. Right, on Instagram, on Twitter, or whatever. X.
MySpace.
Yeah. MySpace.
I love throwing MySpace in there. That was way before some people's time.
Okay, 2008. I 1000% though believe this. The thief of joy, for sure. Because everyone's always talking about what they have on social media, and no one really talks about the process of it. But if you were to take a step back, I follow some streamers, RDC World. And we followed them years and years ago, and they were just making YouTube videos. Now I'm seeing them in ads on the YouTube videos they were making. Yeah. And it's like, took 5, 6, 7 years, but
you would never know that because
and there's some people who are just now starting to watch them like, oh, look at that, that's so
Yeah.
amazing, look at what they did. But it's like you wasn't there watching the 1,000
wasn't in the
videos.
trenches with me shooting in the gym.
You know, that's literally it though. That's literally it.
That's what's up. Yeah, I have to piggyback off that too, just because I feel like it's so easy to just scroll and see what everybody else is doing and how far they've gone. But I don't really think any of those people are posting the moments when it's just like, man, that really didn't work out for me, or this didn't really go that great.
Yeah.
Mainly people just post the victories.
Exactly.
Like, so you won't necessarily get to see how patient they had to be or how much learning they had to do throughout their process. All everyone else gets to see is the victories. And maybe with this podcast too, like maybe people just get to see the victories, but we go through trials and tribulations too, you know. Stuff might happen one way, stuff might happen another way, but I feel like it's all a waiting game to see how everything plays out in the end. So
I mean, even for myself, like I post only the victories, you know, what I'm saying? The cool pictures or us doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Like when I was, you know, or if I'm in a depressive state, I'm not gonna be posting all that stuff. I'm gonna be posting, I'm real sad today. Like that's just, you know, not what I want to do or feel comfortable with doing. Yeah. And so I'm sure there are other people who see my story or your story and go, oh, look at them living the best life in the world.
I try to explain that so much to people, though, the people who are around me. Like, not every day is a victory, but who am I to go out and treat it like it's not one? You know what I mean? Like, who am I to just be like, I'm always really, like, blessed and grateful to wake up every single morning because, you know, so many friends and family, they don't get that opportunity. So it's just like, who am I to treat today like it wasn't a victory for me? Whether I did something small, whether I did something big, whether it was something that was just the slightest thing to be happy about. Like, I think I'm just so grateful for life and being able to still move throughout my 20s and stuff like that, that I feel like, yeah, I still strive to just keep going. And I don't mean to just put out all the good stuff, because I agree, not everybody needs to see the bad moments in your life. But I do try to have a side to both of them. Like, hey, like, it's okay, like, to have those bad times too, you know? So
you almost need them. I mean, not almost, you do need them.
You do need
If every day was happy, then that would just be the norm. Yeah. You wouldn't necessarily be happy. So SpongeBob. It makes you grateful. Come on.
Nah, SpongeBob didn't have a good life. He had all kind of problems. No, yeah. I think my last question there was just like, do you have any goals for yourself when it comes to being patient at the age that we are now? And like, yeah, any goals that you feel like you should work on when it comes to patience?
For me, in my own personal life, I want to work on acquiring hobbies and skills, especially ones that take time. Yeah. Because I think for a lot of my life and a lot of my teenage and like early 20s, it was all like, if I can't get good at this in a few days or a week or two, I'm over it. I'm over it. You know what I'm saying? I'm joking. Like literally though, and it's like, where would I be at if I would have stuck with it then? Yeah. To like right now. Yeah. Like how much better I would be where I thought I wanted to be back then if I would have stuck. So for me, it's embracing failure, embracing not being good at stuff, and then sticking with it. That's my goal.
I guess my goal would just to be, I feel like I said it a little bit earlier, but just like really just not getting upset when things aren't moving as fast as I would like them to. Yeah. You know, I feel like that's my number one goal, because time is very important. And like I said earlier, we don't always get the things that we want right away. But if I could just learn to wait certain moments out without thinking like, oh, I should already have this or I should already have it down packed, I feel like patience would take me a long way.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Cool. Libby, you got any questions? There it is. There it
is. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the relationship between patience and taking action? Like, how do you find that good balance? Because I know a lot of people could use it as like an excuse, like, oh, I'm just being patient.
Yeah. Okay, I see. That's patience and taking action. That one's deep. Let me think on that one for a second.
I think it changes in every situation, you know, and it changes with every person based on like what you think is important in your own life and what isn't important to you. But I do think that the second you get into that mindset of there's no right time for anything. Oh yeah. Or like, you know, or you get into that mindset, I'm waiting for the right moment. That's the exactly the moment where you're like, okay, if you're waiting for the perfect moment, it'll never come. Yeah. So now you're using it as an excuse almost. Yeah, because you know, as an escape. Whereas like, if you're taking small steps even for accomplishing a goal, then you're slowly making pace. Yeah. You know, but using patience as like a crutch to just not do something, I think is when you start saying stuff like, I'm just waiting for the right moment.
I'm just waiting on my moment.
I'm just waiting for that right time to A, B, C. No, okay. Now you're just waiting, period.
And I think you could just take action by like actually just making a plan. You know, I hear people, some of the most famous people all the time say, make sure you write it down. Make sure you journal about it. Make sure you have a plan of where you are starting and where you're trying to go. So that's how I feel like you could like work on taking action into like not just letting patience become a ongoing, long, drawn out process. Because you want to see your accomplishments. You want to see how far you got with whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I feel like, write it down, making a list. Okay, I accomplished this. Boom. I knocked this off. Okay, boom. And it makes the journey of patience feel a lot more, obtainable than being like, oh, I didn't do any of this stuff. So guess I'm still just waiting.
I think patience only works when it's talking about how long it's going to take you to do something, not the actual, like, the start of doing something. If that makes sense. You know, like, I'm patient with myself, let's say, like, trying to be an artist. Yeah. Because every day I'm painting, but I'm getting better slowly and slowly until you're the artist you want to become. Whereas, like, someone who uses it as a crush would just, like, not start painting. Yeah. I'm waiting for the perfect paints. Right? I'm waiting for the perfect audience. I haven't bought a canvas yet. I haven't. What are you doing, man? You gotta take little steps to keep that ball rolling at least.
I think I say that story all the time to like when people do ask me about my art and stuff like that. Like if you scroll down to the bottom of that page, you'll see where I started, and I was not that great. At least I did not feel like I was that great mentally. So like, and then you scroll all the way up to the top, and you're like, this girl started in 2017, and it got better over time. Not overnight, not just when I wanted it to get better, but the more I started working on it and actually, going through the motions of it, that's when it got better. So putting those plans into action and, consistency. I like consistency a lot.
I think too, like, if you think of it like when you grow, like from a kid to like an adult, like physically, you grow, right? Every day, you're not really paying attention to yourself getting taller. You gotta crawl. But if someone's seen you with you when you were 3 and they see you again when you're 12, they're gonna be like, oh my God, you've grown so much. You're like, no, I'm just me. Yeah. Right. So it's like if you're doing small things every day and kind of keeping your head down, doing something, being patient with it, you're gonna look up one day and be like, wow, I didn't even realize how far I've come. Yeah. Until someone probably tells you.
Like going on a hike. Moment. You don't really see where you're going at first. We've been on some brutal hikes.
Try to take me out.
And it takes patience to get to the top of that mountain or like, that hill that you're trying to climb. But once you get up there, you're like, man, this feels good. I had to be patient because I had to start from the bottom just to get all the way to the top. So, and after all, we live in the Mile High City. So it's a bunch of mountains to climb.
Also, side note, guys, let's look at this. Look at this piece of art by yours truly. Look at this. She doesn't say it's me, but I think it's me.
Okay, it's Dallas.
That's me for sure, man.
That's Dallas.
That's some cool art. That took years. And it's like Robin has her own style now. You know what I'm saying? She can put it on canvas. She can put it on an iPad. You can just kind of do these things. But it's like you said, you're 7-8 years in the game. It took a long time to do that.
I'm going to cry on camera right now. Look at you showing me some love and support. Oh my God.
That's what the block is all about.
I really appreciated that though. Yeah, thank you. I love to always tell my story about that and how far I've come. And it's brought me through some really challenging times. Just focusing on what I love. Without comparing myself or, not having the answers right away. That has brought me so far. And not the picture itself, but just, tapping into what I really want and how I could get there. So, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, that's another episode of The Block in the books. Yep. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Dallas, my wonderful co-host Robin. Always thank you, Libby, our videographer, our producer, our editor, our knight in shining armor, all that stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
See you later. Bye-bye.